Hello and welcome to another edition of the Modern Agile Show. I am here with Colleen Johnson. Colleen is the founder of ScatterSpoke. What is that?
Yeah, ScatterSpoke is a tool for more effective team retrospectives. So we just relaunched as part of World Retrospective Day at the beginning of February.
Very
and
cool.
It was quite the journey to be on that side of the product development, right?
Yeah.
We spend so much of our time coaching other teams on best practices and all the things to do to deliver value continuously. And then when it came to putting those practices in place for my own product, it proved to be a lot harder, a lot more challenging.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I really was excited to talk about this with you because I've been there too. And when it's your company, it's your money, it's your time, and you're making your product, it's not quite textbook stuff, is it?
No, and I think, especially in this case, I'm so close to the customer base, right? It's for Agile coaches, it's for Agile teams. I have the luxury of getting to use it a lot with my clients. So I get excited. Somebody will propose a new idea or a new feature, and what we ended up doing is exactly what we probably all advise against, is packing our MVP with so much stuff that it took us a lot longer to get it out.
Right.
And by the time we did get it out, we're finding that there's things in there that people don't care about and didn't need or didn't want. So we kind of ended up with that MVP bloat, and we really broke the principle of delivering value continuously, because
Yes.
we were so excited to pack it all in. So I think that was probably one of the things that was the hardest for us to keep coming back to, and was a good learning exercise.
I see, yeah. That's so you were excited by your community and all their ideas, but at the same time it's like, gosh, how do you say no?
Right.
Yeah.
Or not yet. I think might be the other part of that of, everybody's got requests and ideas, and we stopped that incremental process of let's get one thing out and get feedback before we tack 10 more, rhinestones onto this bow.
Right.
Because we would be like, oh yeah, we're working on part for voting or for grouping, or we're going to enable this ability to add cards from Slack, and while we're at it, let's make it so you can have confetti shoot out of your retrospective.
It's endless, isn't it? What it can do.
It is, and I think it's one thing to coach it. It was another thing to do it, and I think we've learned a lot about backtracking and getting that whole concept of like, let's experiment, let's try one thing, get that feedback, so that we're not putting features out there that nobody's using.
So it sounds like in Modern Agile, these two, the red here, experiment, learn rapidly, and green, deliver value continuously, were the main thing in the early days then.
Yeah, they were the hardest for us. I mean, we actually launched the original version of ScatterSpoke about 2 years ago.
Oh.
So we spent a lot of time validating the initial concept, validating the problem, and getting feedback from users, which was great. We got to learn a lot in that time, but unfortunately what we did was the big bang relaunch, rather than slowly iterating through those new ideas and delivering them slowly to get that feedback. So I think going forward we have a different plan of attack, but I think the learn and experiment and learn rapidly for myself and this project, and with a lot of organizations, what we do is we do one experiment and we have one idea of how that's going to come out, and that's it. And I think it's kind of looking to how can you parallelize a lot of that testing and feedback so that you're creating multiple options to pick from, so that when something fails, you have another product ready or another option ready to queue up.
Yeah.
So that's where we're focused next.
Makes a lot of sense. So almost like make your process safer.
Yeah.
For product development, so you can have more options and less guessing or something.
Absolutely. I think it's having more options, and it's being able to respond quicker to what the customers need. So keeping those things small enough, right? So that you're not developing something for 2 years. And I think getting that value out incrementally so that you can get the feedback quick and pivot quickly.
Are you finding a sort of tension between what you guys think the product needs that is not coming from your customers, like you just have ideas for the product, and stuff that your customers are saying? Is there that typical tension?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think it's, like I said, I'm very close to the customer base and to the users. So we do get a lot of feedback, which is awesome, and a lot of the new features that came out are very driven by customer feedback. But I think what's also interesting is seeing the, you're going to get requests from everywhere, and I love the examples where you talk about somebody might say they want a car. But when you break down the problem of why do they want a car, they want a faster way to get to work.
Right.
But maybe they're going to end up sitting in traffic for 3 hours, and a car's not going to solve that problem for them. So I think you can listen to your customers' requests, but you also have to dig into what problem you're trying to solve for them. And
yes.
That's a big part of a lot of we have a lot of new features that came out, but in some cases I don't know that we solved all the right problems with all of them.
Awesome.
Some hit, some missed.
Yeah, well, you can't get it all perfect. So ScatterSpoke is very good. We used it the other day in our company for a distributed retrospective, and it was very, very nice. It was a great choice. So
yeah, I think the thing that we're getting the best feedback about right now is the integration with Slack, so that you can add cards to your retro right when you think of them, and it's really making for a more productive conversation during your retro time, because you have a full picture of what happened during the time block, and you're not trying to remember. There's all these biases that come up with memory in terms of I'm going to remember the beginning and the end, and nothing in the middle, or the worst part or the best part, and not all the the mundane stuff that happens day to day. And so we're hoping to really get that feedback into the tool in a super simple fashion, so that when you have your retro, it's all there.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to hear that, because to me there's two things there. First, there's continuous retrospectives, which Linda Rising talks about a lot, and I've been echoing what she says, because to me it seems like a lot of things, if they're good, do them continuously.
Yeah.
Right. So why not keep feeding the tool with retrospective ideas? But then, of course, this deliver value continuously. You've enabled that Slack integration. You've enabled people to deliver value right away, all day long.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I mean, that excites me to get the new version.
Yeah, I think we talk a lot about safety, and I think our tool is completely anonymous right now. We've had a lot of requests. I've even had people
anonymous.
Or I've had requests from users to be like,
who said that?
Can you just tell me who wrote this one specific card? I just need to know who this was from. And the answer is always still no. But
that's great.
It is interesting when we talk about safety and trust, and how do we really enable that in a distributed setting? It can be really hard to build that up. And we're starting to offer some facilitation tools along with the tool itself, of how can you have that great conversation and not be like, who wrote this? Who wrote this?
Right.
Who wrote this? Because you want to have a better conversation about the content and the data that you're gathering. So I think the other thing that's great about the concept of continuous retrospectives is this really gives you a chance to view all of the data you're gathering before you have that conversation.
Yes.
So you can look for patterns and trends and overall sentiment. There's a new piece of the tool that gives you sentiment analysis of the cards, and are you trending towards a more negative or more positive tone with your team?
Oh, that's so cool.
So it gives, from a facilitation standpoint, it's giving you tools to have a much heartier conversation that time block, because you just have more data to review.
Wow, that's really good. And teams are so distributed these days. But do you probably see this being used with both in-person teams and distributed teams? Yeah,
we do. And, I think it's interesting. You'll see a lot of reference to the concept, like the most important part of the retrospective is just that you have one, right?
Yeah.
And even when you're all co-located, it's like if one person's out, you punt or you cancel. Or if somebody's working from home that Friday, you're like, let's just skip it.
Right. And this takes away though.
Yeah. And
that's great.
There was a great talk here at the conference about how easy it is to get your action items or what you're trying to improve lost when you're having a retro every 2 weeks. You're identifying your action items, and then you're setting 3 new action items in 2 weeks. So one of the things the tool's also great for is providing that history, so that you can say, we've had the same conversation for the last 6 retrospectives. We keep moving these action items over. We need to stop. Let's stop and really assess what we need to do to fix this problem. And that gets lost a lot on paper. So we see a lot of value in that for co-located or distributed teams.
That's great. I've experienced that, where it's the same thing over and over again, and they're like, okay, we gotta fix this. We cannot leave this on the working needs improvement column anymore. So if the tool could actually even highlight those stale items that haven't been resolved, that would be super cool.
Yeah.
Here I'm giving you another feature.
More product ideas. No, I like it.
That's so cool. So just switching gears here, you have done a whole lot of work with lean and agile concepts, and so of course Kanban for the enterprise and the organization. And I know you do a lot with roadmaps. Can you say some more about that?
Yeah, or maybe less with roadmaps.
Oh, less, yeah.
Another way to phrase it.
Less, yes.
I'm doing less with roadmaps. A big part of my focus lately has been on trying to make a move to more responsive road mapping. So just like we talked about with planning the features, for ScatterSpoke and trying to figure out what are we going to deliver, what are we going to pack in. I think for most organizations, you see that they try so much to forecast what they're going to deliver and lock themselves into that path. That it takes away your opportunity here to experiment and learn rapidly, right? So that's right. Part of what we want to do in being agile is be responsive to what customers need, and that means you have to have a loose plan. Yeah,
so in fact, the road could actually, you don't know where the road's going to go.
Right. And that might mean you're validating options, but not picking one until you're ready to pull that next, until you have the capacity to pull the next idea in.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, there's a couple different terms. I know Matt Barcombe talks about flow-based road mapping. I've used the term responsive road mapping, but both are leveraging the concept of pull in a Kanban system and not picking the next feature until you've got capacity to work on it. And that idea of deferring commitment to the last responsible moment. So why pick the feature 6 months ahead of time? Because things are going to change in 6 months.
Change, right?
Yeah, your priorities are going to change. They should change.
Do you have a product vision that kind of guides you anyway, though?
Yeah, definitely. So high-level themes and outcomes, I think, are still really important for the business to keep at the forefront, and help shape the experiments that they're choosing and the options that they're trying to populate. You still want to have that alignment back to the overall strategy of the organization, but I think it's the what. Like, how do we deliver those features, or what are the features that are going to align to those outcomes that you want to avoid locking yourself into? Right.
Yeah, that's where it just becomes like a death march to get all those things done, and who knows if anyone even wants them.
Yeah. If you try to predict in 6 months what you're going to deliver, I think you're really shooting yourself in the foot in terms of making your customers happy, because what they're going to ask you for in 6 months is probably completely different.
And you've got competitors too, and that could change the landscape as well. I mean, there's all kinds of things. So fascinating. I'd say you should only hire, consultants, agile consultants who actually have built their own product using an agile process or lean process, because it really teaches you, how to really be a practitioner. I can't tell you how many lessons I learned making our product, and lots of mistakes and lots of oops, I can't believe we did that. But it keeps it real.
Yeah, it does. And it's humbling, right? It's one thing to stand in front of a group and say, you shouldn't plan your roadmap this far in advance, and here's all the reasons we should be running experiments. But I think everyone resonates better with all of the things we try to teach when you can talk from your heart and with examples. And this really helps me connect with a lot of the problems. And it's not for lack of passion, right? I just said I got so excited with all the new features, and as people were throwing ideas, it was like, and then we can do this, and then we can do this, and let's add that. And so you get carried away, and that's a good thing to have that excitement and enthusiasm for your product. But it's like, how do you rein that back in and keep in mind that long term that can hurt your delivery to your customers and you can end up delivering the wrong thing. So.
Yeah. Excellent lessons learned. Yeah. So. Excellent. And you're, what are you doing these days? What's your primary, focus?
I'm still doing a lot of Kanban coaching at the enterprise, portfolio, and team level. So spending a lot of time helping teams who are either brand new to Kanban get their programs launched, or even helping organizations where they've been running Kanban for a while and just need to understand, how do we optimize this better to fit us? I think with all flavors of agile practices, we have a tendency to get the book, read the book, implement the book, and stop.
Right.
And you talked about this a lot in your keynote this morning. There's all of this is designed to be a constant evolution of practices. So it's not just experimenting with our product; it's experimenting and learning about our process. And I think that's so critical of continuous, and continuous feedback and looking at where can we make changes so they fit us better.
Yes.
I think a lot of the reasons people drop their Agile adoption or it falls apart is because they fail to look at how to adjust it to fit their needs. So those projects are always really fun for me, where it's like, we've been running Agile for 6 months, it's not working, or 6 years and it's not working. And it's like, okay, well, let's look at how to make your practices fit your business better.
Yeah, you're almost like a doctor coming in and...
Or a therapist,
or
a little both.
Yeah, totally. And I know we talked a little bit about a conference that you're involved in.
Yeah, so Agile Uprising is working to pull together a conference this summer. It'll be our first, and it is going to be FailCon. So we are looking at all of the failures, like I just shared about launching ScatterSpoke. We're going to really focus in on where have we dropped the ball as practitioners and coaches, and what have we learned, right? And let's celebrate the fact that we're all human. You know, we're all going to make mistakes. We're going to learn as we go, and share some of those failure stories and what came out of it in terms of growth.
That's awesome.
And just focus a lot on that. I think we.
I love it.
I think we can all share.
Share
a few.
I've got some excellent ones. I'd love to be there. When is it?
We're looking. It's late July.
Late July
in Philly. So stay tuned.
Okay. Oh, nice to go get a Philly cheesesteak or something.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds great. Well, I look forward to that. So, and one question then about Kanban. Cumulative flow diagrams. Do you use them?
I do use them.
And do you find them useful?
I do find them useful. So I use them a lot in retrospectives for Kanban teams. I'll start with reviewing cycle time, WIP, and throughput. I like to keep that relevant in front and center with a running list of all the retros, so you can see that data over time.
Yeah.
And then I look to the cumulative flow diagram it's just like your board, right? You want your board to tell you things quickly when you look at it without having to read a lot of detail. So where are we spending time? Where is work blocked? Yeah. What's aging? From a cumulative flow perspective, I'm looking for bottlenecks and where's a lot of work stacking up. I love walking through that with the team and teaching them how to read it. It's important that somebody else can interpret that data, not just me. And showing them, what is this telling us, and what happened here. And I think it's just a great way to start a retrospective with that cumulative flow diagram, because it's painting a picture of what happened for the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever your interval is.
I have another idea for you. You could have those planning tools like feed, ScatterSpoke with little. You probably thought of this already.
Yeah.
Right. So feed it with some pull data from the team about how they're doing, so that it's not human generated. It's just cool. I've
You're building my product backlog.
That's really neat. So, well, awesome. I mean, it's a pleasure getting to chat with you. And I know you're pregnant here, so that's awesome too. And congratulations.
Baby number 3 coming.
Oh yeah. Well, I've got 3 as well.
I'll be checked out for the summer months.
Yeah, well, that's good timing.
Yeah.
You can have a nice, pleasant, enjoyable summer.
Definitely.
Very, very, very good. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hope to have you back again. And that's it, over and out. So if you like this show, please share it out and tell people about the Modern Agile Show. Suggest people to come be interviewed. And thank you for watching.
Great. Thank you.